Coming down to the most important comparison here is India versus Turkey. Turkish technicians are moving to other parts of Europe, even coming to India. Please see the qualification, the experience of the surgeon, the surgical team. So hair transplant cost varies hugely from clinic to clinic, doctor to doctor, city to city and country to country. And there are various reasons for this. It's not a standard commodity that okay, a hair transplant it's not Colgate, it's not something like a McDonald's burger that okay, this is the cost. It is a fee of a service that a surgeon renders you, and the cost depends on factors like surgeon's experience and expertise, reputation of the clinic, the city or country that the clinic is in, the infrastructure of the clinic, the safety measures that the clinic has put in place, and the kind of results that the clinic has been given to its patients over the last few years. So these are the various factors that decide what kind of cost are we looking at when it comes to hair transplant procedures. The cost varies from rupees 50,000 to 10 lakh rupees, huge variation depending on the factors that we discussed about. Let's discuss the broad factors which I can easily explain to you and that you can relate to when it comes to cost of a hair transplant procedure. So in a developed country, first world country like USA, Canada, UK, Dubai, usually the hair transplant cost is a bit more because the surgeon's fees are higher, the salaries of the staff is very high, the real estate is pretty costly, and then medical treatments in general are costly in these countries. So a hair transplant would cost you not less than $10,000 to $12,000 in these countries, average 3,000 to 4,000 graft procedure. When it gets compared, and then similarly in developing countries like India, Brazil, Turkey, other countries, there the hair transplant cost comes down because surgeons' fees are less, the salaries are less, good skilled personnel is available at a lesser cost, and in general the cost of living is not that high. So a similar good quality procedure in these countries you will get at a lesser cost. And the same comparison can be done within India. Delhi, Mumbai, the cost will be a bit higher, slightly higher, maybe 10 to 15% higher than let's say a city like Lucknow or Ranchi. Coming down to the most important comparison here is India versus Turkey. These are the hubs when it comes to hair transplant. In fact, Turkey in the last 5 years, Istanbul per se has come up as a hair transplant capital of the world. We all know that. But why did that happen and how does cost implications work? So if you compare doctor to doctor or clinic to clinic, good doctor in New Delhi and a good clinic, good doctor in Istanbul, the cost will be very, very similar. But if you compare a good clinic, good doctor in India versus a technician-based clinic in Turkey, then you will find a lower cost in Turkey. And if you compare a technician-based low-quality clinic in India versus a technician-based low-quality clinic in Turkey, you will find a lesser cost in India. So it's not that Turkey is cheaper than India. They are all at similar price brackets, but you can't compare oranges with apples. You have to make similar comparisons. Turkey became very popular because the rules were a bit lax and technicians were allowed to do the entire procedure, and that's why big factories of hair transplant flourished. But in the last couple of months, the Turkish government has taken cognizance of many mishappenings happening during hair transplant in Turkey, and thus now technicians are not allowed to do the entire procedure on themselves. And that is why my companions, my colleagues in Istanbul, they tell me that many of these fancy Turkish hair transplant clinics who were only based on technicians are all closing down. Turkish technicians are moving to other parts of Europe, even coming to India in search of jobs, because the Turkish government is strict like India, like USA, like Dubai in terms of who can and who cannot do a hair transplant. So if you are thinking of doing a hair transplant in Turkey, you have to think about and learn about and research about all these things in detail. Whether you are doing it in India, whether you are doing it in Turkey, USA, anywhere, we have been saying this in the last 5 years in all our videos that please see the qualification, the experience of the surgeon, the surgical team, the cleanliness, the hygiene levels, the kind of equipment that the clinic has, overall reputation of the clinic, and then based on this information, you make an informed decision of whether you want a transplant or not. If yes, where do you want your transplant to be, executed at? So in general, these are the cost factors that determine the cost of hair transplant in various countries of the world. We have also discussed the cost implications of India versus Turkey. In general, the factors that decide the cost of a hair transplant procedure and why there is so much variation. Thank you.